Is it hard to be fresh if you don't have money, or can you still pull it off?
See, when I ain't had no money, I still had sauce. See, if you don't got no sauce, then you're lost. But you can also get lost in the sauce.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for another episode. We are back in here in the shop as always, and we are working on the red EK hatch. I went ahead and swapped out the subframe. I know a few videos ago you guys already saw me do that. It's actually the same exact subframe. I took it out of that wide EK coupe because we're using it on this build. And there was a few surface rust spots. Granted, the car is 20 some odd years old, so it's gonna have a little bit of rust. We went ahead and took it out and painted it, and it looks clean. So I just wanted to show you guys on camera. The rack, that's a EG power steering rack and pinion. That one just actually came already painted. We didn't have to paint that. But the whole subframe, we went ahead and painted it, took it out, we brushed it down, got all the surface rust off of it, and it looks really, really good. So today, as you guys can already tell from the title, I am going to go ahead and swap out the oil pump on this K24. The customer bought a K20 oil pump, which is supposed to be better. They can rev higher or have oil at higher RPM. So we're going to go ahead and swap that out. They're less bulky too. You can see the K24 oil pump is super bulky. Actually looks like a supercharger on the inside. Well, I'll show you guys once we get it out and everything. So I'm going to show you guys step by step what we're going to do to get this thing out. First thing I'm going to go ahead and do is flip the engine upside down. I'm going to go ahead and take all the bolts out for the oil pan. Then after I do that, I'll have to do the timing cover, then lift up the valve cover gasket, and we'll get that off, and then we'll be able to see the timing chain. Then we'll take the timing chain off, and then we'll have access to our oil pump. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. It's going to be a 10 millimeter. You'll have 10 millimeter bolts. I'll show you guys those once we get it turned over. So I'm going to take all those out, pry it off, and we'll get to it. All right, now that I got it flipped over, you can see these bolts a lot better. You'll have these 10 millimeters. Just go ahead and get these out, and then we'll have access to the oil pump. Awesome, the oil pan now is off. If you are just swapping pump for pump, you don't have to do this whole process of removing the timing chain and getting everything off. You can literally just take the tension off of this chain here and then remove this bolt, and this whole thing will slide out, and you can just leave the chain here dangling, swap out your oil pump. Same thing if you have a K20 already, you could just do the same thing. But since we're going from a K24 oil pump to a K20 oil pump, this chain has to be replaced because the chains are different lengths because the teeth on the pump gear are different. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is turn the engine back over, remove the crank pulley, get this out of the way. Then we've got our timing cover. We're going to zip that off, and then we'll have access to our timing chain. So I just went ahead and got the crank off. It is a 19 millimeter bolt. Just take that off, and then you can use a pry bar to get the pulley off. Make sure you do pick up this piece, this little key weight. While you're pulling it out, it will fall. Make sure you put that to the side, because if not, that crank will just sit there and wobble. Even as tight as you get it, you got to have this little piece there for it to be balanced correctly. So do make sure you keep that. Just put it to the side. I'm going to go ahead and leave the engine in this position, just because I don't want to have to turn it up and turn it back down, because I'm going to be doing that oil pump anyways. So the valve cover, I'm just going to want to go ahead and take off these bolts. They are all going to be a 10 millimeter bolt. Go ahead and just take those out, and that valve cover will come off. Then after you do that, keep your 10 millimeter socket handy, because you're going to go ahead and take out these bolts right here for the timing cover. So we'll do that next. Awesome, so we went ahead and got the timing cover off and the tensioner. I took that off. I should have recorded it. I thought about it afterwards, but I'll just explain it to you guys real fast. So all you need to do is put the crank bolt in, just keep turning it counterclockwise, and you will see over here, when you have your tensioner in, you'll see this little orange thing will actually line straight up with this little hole right here. It's like a dowel hole. So once it lines up straight, you can put a pin in it and then take it out. It'll keep it locked in place. That way, once we go to bolt it back in, we just take that out and it'll go right into place. Now Bryan is just going ahead and taking off the guides. Then we'll get the timing chain out of the way, and then we'll just be on to our oil pump. All right, so we just went ahead and got the oil pump off. You have another chain here. The easiest way to get it off is obviously you have to remove these guides, then remove the bolts for the actual oil pump. You just put it to the side and the chain will just fall right off. Next thing we got to do is we got to get this little guy out here. There's like a little tap screw that you can put in top of this. It's got like a little O-ring gasket. We're going to pop that out, put a bolt in it. That way we can block it off. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Cool, so we went ahead and got it out. I just want to show you guys what we did. We just used you can use like a wood screw or like a panel screw or something that's got long threads, thread pitch on it, and just drill it through and it just pulls right out. Then you want to get a 12mm bolt and just throw it in and tighten it down just a little bit. That way oil can't come back and through it. Another step you'd have to do if you just go ahead and order a oil pump from Honda is you have to modify it. Show them, Bryan, from the bottom part. So this part you would have to modify.
Right here?
Yeah. All this you'd have to cut out so you can clear. Yeah. So you can see here, this goes all the way across if you just buy the normal one straight from Honda. So you have to grind all this area out, but luckily the customer went ahead and bought one that this is already done. So it saves us a step. But I just want to show you guys how it would look. You just got to mock this up, right? Draw with like a marker right here, and then cut all of this out. So now we're just going to go ahead and bolt it on. I forgot to mention, you have to remove this piece here. It actually comes in three different pieces. It's one back here, and then you got two over here. So take all those out, and this whole piece will replace it. If you forget to do that before you get your oil pump on, it's okay, because you got a good amount of room over here from your feed to do so. The old pump, there is no way at all. It just blocks this whole entire area. But now that we got that on, we're going to go ahead and set the timing. Bryan's just getting everything set up, getting our cam gears ready, getting our cranking and timing top dead center. That way we can go ahead and put this belt back on. Chain, whatever. We are complete. Now I just need to go ahead and seal up the timing cover, get the oil pan on, and the valve cover. I won't bore you guys with that, but we'll go ahead and finish this up here in a minute. As always, go ahead and like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.
You don't got no sauce, then you're lost. But you can also get lost in the sauce.